All right, we're back. This is the second of two sabers that came to me from one client. This is a Subversion. I will have to look up who did this etch. I mean, to me, it could be a number of folks, but I do know that Austin at Astoria did the weathering job, and this is pretty incredible. We'll see this a little bit closer in the close-ups down at the table. Speaking of which, I'd like to do that now because I want to show off exactly what goes on with the operations on this. It's a little bit unique of a saber. This isn't new to a bunch of the folks out there that know already how Ignition had to kind of come up with this concept, but because this does differ than the install I did for the other hilt for this particular client, wanted to go over some caveats on what's going on with it. So let's hop down to the table, let's talk about that, and we'll show off a couple things going on with the crystal chamber and some of the presets. We'll hop back out, I'll show a couple blade styles. I will ask that the customer refer to the other install for most of the operations because it'll be the exact same. Yeah, so let's do that now. All right, so here we are down at the table. We can see the beautiful etch work and weathering that went into this. I will have to look up who did it. This could be either Josh Gamble or a Vaults of Valhalla. Anyway, so this is done in a Zeffo theme. The customer's only ask of me was that we tried to do the cracked crystal shards in the chamber. He had seen some other folks do something like that. So I had to carefully shear my quartz. And then what I did was I sort of rotated one so that you could see more features. But if you were to smash them together, you'd see they fit exactly the same. And so there is independent neopixel above and below. So those will do different things. Some presets, they might be the same color, but maybe a different little timing of the animation. But yeah. And then we've got our metal ball tactiles. And then just like the other saber, we have a Shtok V3. So I wanted to do this at the table because to get to everything, you're gonna need two Allen keys. One is for the grip. These are my Allen keys, by the way, because I wanted to keep the ones that shipped with this saber, with the box and everything and all the paperwork that came with it. That being said, there are two different keys. This one is for your blade retention, which is on this side. So the smaller of the two keys will be your blade retention on the upper right of the emitter. And then the larger of the two works for all of these shroud, but you only ever need to take this one off. So the process is this. You take the pommel off because we're going to slide this grip all the way off to get the battery in. So plenty of threads on this. This has a 24mm KR bass speaker, exactly like the other install. However, this is going to sound just a little bit different because of the actual dimensions of this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take these two shroud screws off very carefully. I always like to do this with the Allen key up. If you do it this way, you can get too much torque on it and you can alter your threads. So we're just going to undo that carefully. I'm going to go ahead and open my battery box here because I'm going to put the screws in there. So there's one screw and then the other one's right here. And you'll also notice that Austin's paint job will clue you in on the orientation of this shroud once you go to put it back in. So we pull that all the way off, revealing our Proffie V3. And then you can sort of see what I'm talking about here. This is the, this comes at an angle, so the lower of the two arcs, and this one has the higher of the two arcs. And this is where our battery terminal goes. So this is just the chassis that came with it, right? So it is E6000 in. Spring side is your negative. I mentioned this on the other installation for this customer, but be mindful of the battery orientation. It's different for these two sabers. So negative is towards the speaker. So we'll just put our battery in. There is no kill switch on here. You are the kill switch. So once the battery's in, it boots up. Now you did hear a Starfall font, but that's because I'm just gonna go ahead and provide the exact same font setup The only difference is the crystal chambers are going to be programmed a little differently. But yeah, when we're ready, we can put the shroud back on. And then we will align the two screw holes. And then again, we'll just put one of these in. I'm probably going to go ahead and speed up this footage. And once the shroud's on, we can put our pommel back on, and you can see that part of the reason is that the pommel is a little bit wider than that, so you can't pull it off without doing that. But Saber's good to go. So the top button is your power, the bottom is your aux. We'll show off a couple of these crystal styles. So again, similar colors but different. Now this one has purple and blue. I thought that would be an interesting one. This one, the main blade is blue. This does take a 1-inch diameter neopixel, so I'm going to go ahead and just put a short stubby demo blade in. So again, the smaller of the two Allen keys is your blade retention. So we'll just rest those on the PCB pins. Put our set screw in. And then, so we got our purple blade to match the lower crystal. So let me bounce to some extra fonts I did so that this Saber has more functions than the other one.
Liquid static.
All right, so we're on liquid static. This is a free font for Proffie. Just wanted to put it on there. This comes from Blue Force Saber Company. So the blade style is from those developers. The crystal I decided to do sort of like I just showed you there, but altered now. And you can see that those pulsing patterns are a little bit different. And hopefully my mic is picking up the sound. We'll switch over here. Still sounds really good. Not as direct as the other hilt. The geometry is a little different. And the fact that there's a little bit more opening in the backside. You can feel it in your hand when you get really bassy fonts. But a lot of fun. So, just like the other install, this has gesture on, so you can twist on. You'll bypass the pre-on for this particular font, or any font that has a pre-on. And gesture gets you into battle mode. So if you don't like battle mode, you can always just hit the power button. If I actually hit the power button. And we also have thrust on. Right. So now if we clash, we're in a lockup until we pull away. So blaster blocks. Coda is a grayscale font, but it's also been provided as a free font for Proffie as well. So I went ahead and did something on this one, similar to ones I've done in the past for other clients. But yeah, just a little something different. Another grayscale one, I decided to do like a magenta and a reddish. Again, just a couple extras so that this particular hilt is styled differently. There are some fonts on the card itself that came with the Proffie that might match. Given that this is Zeffo themed, you've got a couple Cal Kestuses on there. One of the sisters, I don't know if it was second sister, or actually maybe two, seventh sister. But yeah, those came.
So, who are you? Cal Kestis.
Okay, so I did program one of the Kestis ones, just so you could have something to match this. I probably should have put it first in the chain, but like I said, this is the exact setup as the other hilt so that they're very similar in operation. But yeah. So that is the Saber. I'm not going to go through everything. Like I did mention with the other hilt, if there was a Proffie OS voice pack, I did put that into the font folder. So for instance, Cal should give us a battery readout.
Battery level, 89%.
But for the rest of the fonts, if there isn't one, it's going to be C3PO. And again, edit mode I don't cover here, but you can jump in. Any preset that I've programmed, you can copy the blade style over to a different font. You can remove fonts. You can add new font. If you pull out the SD card, put some stuff that you want on there, you can just literally duplicate a preset, change the font, and then you've got all the blade styles that I've already programmed. Otherwise, you can learn how to program. I do have the config on the SD card. I always recommend to customers to back that up to their computer the moment it arrives. But that way, like I said, you've got something you can work with. There's a bunch of options within each actual blade style that I've programmed. So if you want to add like a pre-on or do like an ignition power up or something like that, a few of those presets I've programmed have those abilities. They may not be turned on for whatever font you're on, but you can learn how to do that. I'm not going to cover that. It's something to discover at your leisure. It's, like I said, it's in the config file. But yeah.
Hello, Master. It's been a while.
So this is another one that came with it. This is an Ahsoka. I'm not sure which version, but I did, just to take advantage of the two crystals here, we've got a yellowish to green and a green to a black. So it kind of, one goes on and off and the other one goes between two colors. But what I did was I programmed the blade for like Code Fulcrum when she was later in the Clone War series. Okay. And then now we're into all the other fonts. And this is something I mentioned where I copied the presets exactly as they were on the SD card when I ordered the Proffies. So none of the blade styles will show up in the crystal until the Saber's on, because all they do is duplicate what's going on in the main blade. So crystal doesn't turn on until the blade turns on.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
So every like one of these, so there's 2 pixels here, every one of the blade styles is exactly the same across all of these.
If you will not turn
So.
then perhaps you will.
All right, so that's gonna wrap this up. To the customer, like I mentioned, I go in a little bit further detail on the Starfall install if you want to learn how to do some of the other things. Anything I don't cover in this or the other video will be on a printout for you. And then anything that doesn't make sense, you can always feel free to email me. I highly recommend, though, you read the instructions. There will be a link to the FET263 prop file controls page. And then I think I already mentioned in my correspondence with you another page for exactly how to use edit mode in case you want to change the blade length for your whatever blades you end up buying, whether they're 30 or not. And then if you decide to go more, you can always email me. I can show you how to do a quick change in the config and you can push it to your Saber. So hope that answers your questions. To recap real quick, we'll go back down. Again, there's no off, so on every other preset, the accents will time out after about 5 minutes, so you'll need to hit a button to turn them on, but the battery will still deplete. So what we'll need to do is the reverse of what we showed just a moment ago, is we'll take the pommel off, we'll open up the grip, and we'll pull the battery out. So that's the only way to turn the Saber fully off. If you decide to leave this on the shelf with the battery in, at some random point when the battery is almost depleted, there will probably be some distant haunting voice in your house that says battery level critical or something like that. Just know that that is your Saber telling you to go take the battery out. And you can just use your thumb. It's very easy to get it out with your thumb, or like I showed in the other video, you can always, tap it out. But yeah, be mindful that this is how exactly the chassis came. So in order to make sure that the Proffie stayed in place, I put a little bit of E6000 down. To get to your SD card, you'll need tweezers. I recommend something like these with the curved, and you can just kind of pull it out. And then to get to the micro USB, if you decide to start doing your own programming, you'll need a 90-degree cable because this should not prop up. But yeah, that's the Saber. Hope you enjoy it. Anybody else out there watching, appreciate you sticking around, learning some new stuff, or just how I did my particular installs for this Ignition Sabers Subversion. So may the force be with you, and thanks again for watching.